Hello and welcome back to the Ask an Introvert podcast. I'm Jennifer Ho, your host and life coach for introverts. I help those of you who feel quietened in this world develop self-leadership and take up space exactly as you are to live your dream life. So, while working on this episode, I realized that if you're a firstborn child, you are a natural born third wheel. Yep, that includes me. I'm the eldest daughter to my parents. I was a third wheel the moment that I was born. And today we're diving into this topic of being a third wheel, which I'm learning is something many people and especially introverts avoid. When I offered this as a topic in a poll on Instagram stories, it unexpectedly became the most voted for topic. Like, I really thought you all wanted me to talk about fun employment. So I got to have some really good conversations with some of you about it. And now I have so much more to share than just my personal take on this. If you didn't know, I'm everyone's single friend, and I have many friends who are coupled up. From the outside looking in, it always looks like I'm the third, fifth, seventh wheel everywhere I go. But here's how I see it. Those who judge me as the third wheel are judging me from the assumption that I'm incomplete, that something is missing because I don't have a partner, that I'm the one who's left out. Now, some of that is due to societal beliefs and expectations, and some of that might be people's own personal experiences. When I told my best friend Lynn that I was preparing for this episode, she reacted in opposition, but I feel like you're never the third wheel, and went on to say that when I'm hanging out with her and her partner, I'm one of the main characters. I'll sum it up for you right now. The key to being comfortable as a third or even 11th wheel is that I'm never the extra wheel. Like imagine a tricycle. It has three wheels, but it's functional. In fact, it stands on its own as opposed to a bicycle. You are not an extra. You're not an extra in your own life. You're not an extra in other people's lives. You're not an extra in any social situation or an event. If you are there and you're present and experiencing it fully, and you allow yourself to center yourself, you're not an extra. I will reiterate that throughout the episode, but in the spirit of Ask an Introvert, I'm going to set the scene and pose some questions with inspiration from the conversations that I had with some of you on Instagram. So, first up, from the perspective of a listener who's struggling with being single among coupled friends, I'm finding it increasingly difficult to be the third wheel among my friends. It seems like everyone around me is coupled or coupling up, and I'm left feeling lonely and excluded. When I hang out with them, I can't help but feel awkward and out of place. They often plan couple things, and I feel like I'm intruding if I try to join. It's gotten to the point where I'm starting to avoid them altogether because I'm tired of being reminded of my single status. I know I shouldn't tie my happiness to having a partner, but it's hard not to feel left out. How can I navigate being a part of the friend group without feeling like an extra? Is there a way to enjoy being around couples without getting jealous and constantly wishing I had a partner too? So, without knowing all the context and the nuances, the first thing I would ask you is if you want to be around these people. Because I think the desire to be around your friends, whether they're with their partners or not, is going to be the driver for you to take control over how you're feeling in the situation. It's a motivation for you to change how you're feeling and how you're approaching being a third wheel, as opposed to like if you don't actually like being around these people. And I say that from personal experience. Sometimes I have friends who choose partners that I don't really like hanging out with. And at first, like trying to be the nice person, trying to be the good person, it was just easier to tell the story to myself that I was the problem. But if I don't like someone, I just don't like them. Like, I can like that my friend is happy in their relationship. I can like that my friend has found someone who cares for them and loves them. But if I am not vibing with that person, then I'm just not. And that will make hanging out with them uncomfortable. So I would recommend digging deeper to see if you're feeling lonely because you really don't vibe with this group or this setup, or if it's about your single status. And then about them planning couple activities, of course, you're feeling excluded there. But if you're invited, you're not intruding. See, there's layers to this. And I want you to really think about what's actually going on with you and make decisions about how you're going to handle it in a way that ends up feeling good for you. Because they're not experiencing what you're experiencing and they're not going through what you're going through. And until you have the awareness to understand yourself, I think it will continue to feel difficult and feel like you don't belong. But I want you to really assess, is it that you don't belong because you don't have a partner there with you? Or do you not feel like you belong because even if you had a partner there, you wouldn't be enjoying yourself? Those are different things. Now, let's say that you've decided, yes, I want to be around this couple, I want to be around this group of couples, but I want to stop feeling like an extra. You've got to reframe your perspective. Like being single doesn't define your worth or your ability to enjoy social situations. Try to see these gatherings as opportunities to strengthen your friendships rather than reminders of your relationship status, because that's not who you are. Single is not who you are. It's just the state of your love life, I guess. But it's not who you are. It doesn't make you less of a person because you're around these other people. They've met people who add to their life, and if you want to be around them, they all add to your life as well. Like when I'm around say my best friend Lynn and her partner, I get to witness other sides of her that I wouldn't be able to see if her partner wasn't also there. Not only do I get to see these other sides of Lynn, I also get to see what's possible for me in a relationship. And when I look at it, I can either spend the time looking at what I don't have or what I do have right in front of me. And what I have in front of me is an example of what's possible. What I have in front of me is getting to see my friend receive love from someone. And I also get to receive from them because I get two people's attention instead of just one. All that said, Lynn also doesn't make me feel like an extra. And if she ever did, like, I would never think that that was her intention. So, you have become friends with these people for a reason. And if you're feeling down, I think you you owe it to them to communicate with them how you're feeling. Be honest about your feelings. Your real friends will appreciate your openness, and they may be so comfortable that they're not realizing that you're feeling left out. And I think they would be really upset, upset with themselves that they didn't do a better job of helping you feel included. You know, like that sense of belonging, that feeling like, yeah, I'm a part of this. You can't create that entirely on your own. And I think you can give your friends that opportunity. And we'll talk a bit about more of that too. But, specifically for the single friends in the groups, I think besides reframing your perspective and communicating with your friends, make sure that you have activities one-on-one with your friend to begin with, that not every time you're hanging out, you're also hanging out with their partner. So to sum it up for the single friends who are feeling left out, who are feeling like a third wheel, first assess and see if you actually want to hang out as part of this group. And then if you do want to be around them, some options you have are to embrace your role, because being a third wheel can have its perks. Like I said, you get to see a different side of your friends and you get to learn about healthy relationship dynamics and what's possible for you. You also can reframe your perspective about what being single means. You don't have to just adopt the definition that you've been taught that something's missing or that you should also be coupled up or that something is wrong with you because you don't have a partner. And also be honest about how you feel with your friends. Being included as part of something is not your sole responsibility. They have work to do there too. And I'm willing to bet that if you want to be around them, they want to be around you too. And they care about making you comfortable. Believe me, I even had a conversation with someone who's in a relationship and she wants to make her single friends comfortable. Here's what she said. My partner and I have been together for a few years now, and we've noticed that some of our single friends seem hesitant to hang out with us. We really value our friendships and want everyone to feel welcome and comfortable when we spend time together. We've tried to be mindful about not being too coupley when we're with others, but we're not sure if we're doing enough. How can we make our single friends, especially the more introverted ones, feel included and at ease when they're with us? Are there specific things we should avoid or encourage? We don't want our relationship status to be a barrier to maintaining and growing our friendships. And we want each other's friends to become friends with us. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. So before I go into like things that you can do, this makes me think of a story that ties these letters together. So a while back when I was in Singapore, I was staying with my friend Cheryl and her husband, and then I was invited to dinner with her and her in-laws. Initially, I felt really awkward because not not really about being the single friend, but about like being the one who wasn't family. But I decided to embrace the moment and I gave myself permission to enjoy being part of this family gathering, even though these thoughts and feelings were coming up about being the odd one out. And I'm really glad I did this and that I went because the funniest thing to me happened. So we're sitting down for dinner and it's a round table. So, there's like really no beginning, middle, or end. But I end up sitting in between Cheryl and her husband. And the whole time, like they're both ensuring that I get food on my plate. And it was really nice. But then Cheryl's husband's dad wants to take a group photo of all of us. And so we're all squeezing together. And when I see the photo, I realize I'm right in the middle of the group photo. And if I had been hesitant and didn't want to do this because I would be the odd one out, I wouldn't have this funny memory. And it's like, I feel like it's just like the perfect image of me being a very happy third, fifth, seventh wheel because I was present there and I was welcome and I was included. And if I continue to let myself feel like I didn't belong or that I was an extra, I don't know if I would have noticed all the good things that were happening. Like, what if Cheryl's husband got me some soup from the big bowl in the middle of the table, but I was so consumed thinking like, oh, that I'm a bother, that I shouldn't be there, then I wouldn't see it as someone taking care of me. Like through Cheryl, I got to meet more people. I get to know what she's like when she's with her husband as opposed to when she's just by herself. I got to see like how much love she receives from her in-laws, and it just makes me even happier for her. And this is one of those experiences that has really solidified for me that being a third wheel really is what you make of it. And that's what I meant when I said in the beginning that I don't let myself be the extra. I'm not the extra. And it's how I've approached this with my mindset is what you can do for yourself too, because you have a choice in how you approach these situations. And that said, for couples, you guys also have a choice in how you approach your single friends. So, one of my pet peeves is like when people have an inside joke and they don't make the effort to give you the background on it. Like, I know that I'm not gonna get it, and this doesn't matter if it's a couple or a group or like people who I've just met. If you're having this conversation in front of me, the easiest way to be inclusive is to just give me that context. Just give me that context. I'm not going to like steal your inside joke, and I might not get it, but I will appreciate that you tried to include me. That's so much better. So, it's not, when I first wrote this script, like the first thing I wrote is like plan inclusive activities. Like don't like choose things that like emphasize coupledom. Like if you're gonna sign all your friends up for like a romantic hot air balloon ride, like that's not inclusive to the single person. And that's bound to feel awkward because of the context. But that said, I think more than the activity, your attitude around it is so much more important because planning a certain type of activity is kind of still on the surface. It's in those nuances where you really take care of someone, like explaining the inside joke to them, making sure that, like in the story I shared, if you're having a family style dinner, making sure that that person is also taken care of. I think extending that care, yes, extending the care to your single friends would be a very thoughtful thing to do. And then for me personally, it's definitely easier for me to be around couples who aren't like all over each other. So yeah, avoid excessive PDA. Like I love watching my friends like give each other a hug or like just like cuddling up to each other for a moment or like a quick kiss. But those are all minimal when I think about it. And maybe your single friends have different, I don't know. Maybe they're able to put up with, I can't think of the right words, but maybe they have more tolerance for it. While it's natural to show affection, that's like one of the things that are super coupley and will really signal to everybody that you're a couple. Like not just, because like mm, how do I put this? Like you can see three people hanging out and not know like who's partnered up, right? Like that's kind of how you want your group vibe to be if you want to make it comfortable for your single friends. And they know you're a couple, but like if the outside world, like if strangers come up and they can easily tell you're a couple, maybe you're overdoing it. I don't know. But when it comes to physical displays of affection, PDA, I think I've just heard more stories of when it's uncool of people, but it hasn't really happened to me, like seeing excessive instances of it. I feel like my friends are all very respectful, but also I carry myself as someone that you just don't want to bother in that way, I guess. Like I'm aware of couples in my friend groups who have been a bit excessive with their PDA in front of other friends, but not when I'm around. So, beyond having the inclusive attitude, planning inclusive activities, avoiding excessive PDA, I think ensure that you maintain your individual connection. Like, yes, you have partnered up, you may be married, but you were simply a one-on-one friendship with your single friend at some point outside of your couple identity. And I think maintaining that one-on-one connection will help your friend feel valued for who they are. Like, I definitely don't feel like an extra around Lynn because I know our friendship is strong. I don't feel like an extra around Cheryl because I know our friendship is strong. And as I reflect on everything that I've shared with you today, yes, this is in the context of third wheeling or being a single friend or being in a couple and accommodating your single friend. But I think like all of it still just comes down to respecting people and being thoughtful of them. Like whether you're single or part of a couple, to successfully navigate these kind of social dynamics, you need to have open communication. You need to empathize with each other and you have to be willing to Ugh, I really don't like this phrase, but you really do have to be willing to step out of your comfort zone. It's not going to be comfortable at first to be the single one with your couple friends. It's not going to be comfortable at first, like having your partner and your best friend meet, but it's all going to get better. It's uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar, but you have the power to make it comfortable by exposing yourself to it, by familiarizing yourself with it. And I hope that you embrace the unique perspective and presence that you bring to your friendships, and don't let anyone's relationship status define your experience as part of a friendship, as part of a friend group, as part of a social activity. I think back on the realization I had from working on this episode that as a firstborn child, I'm a natural born third wheel. I was never an extra. I added to their life. And whether you're part of the couples or if you're the single friend, you're adding to each other's lives. And I hope you can see that. You might just find yourself in the middle of a great memory or a funny group photo. If you want to get coaching or my perspective on your specific situation or question around this topic or any other topic, right now I'm hosting self-leadership office hours where you can get a 30-minute coaching session with me. All you have to do is sign up in my Calendly link, which will be in the show notes. And if you have something that you want to ask me and get my thoughts on through the podcast, feel free to send me a DM on Instagram, or I also have a form for you to submit it anonymously at byjenniferho.com/askanintrovert. That link is also in the show notes. I will talk to you soon. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening and turn on your notifications so you won't miss the next episode. I will talk to you soon. Bye.